Hello, learners. Welcome back to SOEM program on information technology applications in libraries. Today, we are going to learn research data management. Research data management, this topic has been divided into two parts. Today, we are discussing the part one, the general view about what is research data management. And next class, we will be covering research data management tools and some best practices in the field of RDM. So let us have a today's lecture on research data management. Today we are going to cover research data. What is research data? Types of research data formats, data management planning, in short it's called as a DMP, research data life cycle, legal and ethical consideration in research data management. Hi learners, the significance of managing research data has increased substantially in recent years, with funding agencies now mandating open access and data sharing as an essential component of rigorous scientific conduct. So, the research data management encompasses all the activities related to handling the research data and comprises a collection of principles, procedures, and best practices for managing data throughout after a research project. Research project may be your PhD thesis, maybe your dissertations, maybe your research project funded by different agencies, or the research result of research has been conducted by the NGOs or any other organizations. So research data management will always enhances the research transparency, and it facilitates the publication of findings in scholarly journals, and it promotes data reproducibility. Now let us see what is research data. Research data comprises the unprocessed or processed information gathered, observed, or produced during the scientific investigations or your research endeavors. Research data forms a foundation for analysis, conclusions, and further knowledge creation across various fields, spanning from natural and social sciences to humanities and arts. The nature of research data can vary widely depending on the study type, methodologies, and the specific discipline involved. As you people are aware, the types of research data, the mainly we can classify the research data into four. One is quantitative data, qualitative data, primary data, and secondary data. These are the terms which generally we are using in all the researchers. In the quantitative data, it's a numerical and measurable, representing quantities or amounts. It answers the questions like how much, how many, how often, and is often collected through methods like surveys, experiments, or any other statistical measurements. So the major feature of quantitative data is it can be analyzed using mathematical calculations and statistical techniques, making it ideal for identifying patterns, making predictions, and finding relationships between different variables. The examples of quantitative data are the number of books issued to the users in a month by the circulation section of a library. It's a data, it's a quantitative data. And number of research article downloaded by the users from various databases of the library. It's a quantitative data. Similarly, we have the qualitative data. Similarly, we have in the qualitative data, it is a descriptive and captures qualities or characteristics that are not easily measured. It answers the questions like what kind, why, or how. So it is usually collected through methods like interviews, focus groups, observations, or some sort of open-ended questionnaires, etc. Qualitative data provides insights into people's thought, their feelings, motivations, and behaviors. So it is making difficult for understanding complex concepts, opinions, or experiences. Some examples of qualitative data are a description of user satisfaction. Example, they are satisfied or dissatisfied. How the level of satisfaction, how the user having, how level they're satisfied. Or observations of behavior in social setting. Interview responses from users' experiences. So these are the examples of qualitative data. Next is primary data. Primary data means it is an original data collected first hand by a researcher, especially for their study or research question. This type of data is gathered directly from the source, making it more reliable and relevant to the researcher's specific needs. Examples are data collected through your surveys, your questionnaires, data collected you are conducting interviews and focus groups, and the data has been received after your experiments or field studies. These are the primary data. In secondary data, on the other hand, is data that has already been collected and recorded by others. This data is typically available through sources such as books, reports, government publications, and online databases. Researchers use secondary data to save time and resources since it is already been gathered and often analyzed by others. So this data can be used for the research work. The examples of secondary data, the census data, data from academic journals and research articles, data collected from books and encyclopedias, online databases, and statistical websites. So these are the examples of secondary data. Now you know what different data formats are there. The data will be available in the text format, numeric format, audio, video, image formats, mixed media, sensor data, social media data, geographic information system data, machine readable data, and metadata. I think you are aware about all these types of data. And next, we have to discuss about what is data management planning. Because if you want to develop a research data management system in your library, we should have a proper data management planning. That in short we call it a DMP. A data management plan is a document that defines how data is handled throughout the life cycle of a project, that is, from its acquisition to archival. DMP serves as a blueprint for handling data from its acquisition, processing, and analysis to its storage, sharing, and long term preservation. The DMP ensures that data is managed efficiently, ethically, and legally, and it is often required by funding agencies to ensure that research outputs remain accessible and usable for the long term. So it serves as a blueprint for the handling data. Hi learners, now let us discuss about research data management lifecycle. This research data management lifecycle, which has 6 stages. The first stage is that is creating data. You'll see creating data. Creating data is an initial stage of this research data management lifecycle, which involves designing the research framework and planning the data management strategy. Here, researchers determine the formats and storage options suitable for their data, plan for consent in case of data sharing, and locate any existing data that might be relevant. Data is collected through various methods such as experimentation, observation, measurement, or simulations, etc. Additionally, metadata is captured to provide the context and structure for the data. It will facilitate the future use and understanding. After completing the creating of data, the next stage is the processing of data. The processing of data will be done once the data is collected. In this stage includes entering data, digitizing, transcribing, and possibly translating the data. Researchers also validate and clean the data to ensure accuracy and reliability. Then the third stage is analyzing the data. In this stage, the data undergoes analysis to extract meaningful insights. Researchers interpret the data, derive specific findings, and produce research outputs such as reports or publications. This phase also prepares data for future preservation, ensuring that analyzed data is adequately documented and formatted for long-term storage. Learners, the next stage is preserving data. Okay, the data preservation involves safeguarding data for future access and use. This includes migrating data to the most appropriate format and storage medium, creating additional metadata and documentation for context, and implementing archival practices to prevent data loss. By preserving data, researchers maintain the integrity and accessibility for their work and future use. And the fifth stage is giving access to data. After preserved, it can be made accessible to other researchers, stakeholders, or the public. This stage includes distributing and sharing data, controlling access rights, establishing copyright, and promoting the availability of the data. Proper access protocols ensure that data reaches the appropriate audience while protecting sensitive information. And the last stage is reusing the data. In this final stage, the preserved data is available for reuse. Researchers can utilize this data for follow up studies, new research projects, or literature reviews. Additionally, the reused data can undergo further scrutiny, providing additional insights and serving as a learning tool for teaching and learning process. The next is importance of data management planning. Once you are having the data management planning, we have to consider first the compliance, efficiency, data sharing, and long-term preservation. So, as far as compliance is concerned, many funding agencies and institutions require a DMP that ensure that research data is handled in compliance with their policies, ensuring data integrity, accessibility, and reproducibility. So, your DMP will provide a compliance to your research data. The next important aspects of a DMP is its efficiency. And a well-structured DMP facilitate the sharing of data with the broader research community, contributing to transparency, collaboration, and the advancement of knowledge. Long-term preservation. By planning for data preservation, a DMP ensures that research outputs remain usable and accessible over time, benefiting future researchers. These are the importance of DMP. Now let us see what are the legal and ethical consideration of research data management. There are different areas you have to think of when you're considering about the ethical aspects. First of all, we should get an ethical approval. Before beginning a research, especially when human participants are involved, researchers must obtain approval from an ethics committee or institutional review board. And this ethical approval ensures that the research design adheres to ethical standards, minimizes harm, and protects participants' rights. And the second consideration is informed consent. Informed consent is a process through which participants are fully informed about the nature, purpose, and potential risk of the research before agreeing to participate. This includes information on how the data will be used, stored, and shared. Publishing sharp, sensitive data is another ethical consideration which you have to take care of. The sensitive data includes personal, medical, or financial information that could potentially cause harm if misused or disclosed without proper safeguards. And the fourth point is anonymization. Anonymization involves modifying data to remove personally identifiable information so that individual cannot be identified. And if you consider as a legal consideration in the RDM, the first one is protection of personal data. Legal protection of personal data aims to prevent misuse of unauthorized access or breach of privacy. Researchers must comply with these legal requirements to ensure that personal data is handled securely only for its intended purpose and it is not retained for longer than necessary. And the second point is complying with the data protection legislation, GDPR. It imposes responsibilities on researchers to ensure transparency, data minimization, and secure handling of personal information. The data subjects, like participants, have the right to access, correct, or request for the deletion of their data. The next is Freedom of Information, FOI, and Environmental Information, EIR. The Freedom of Information Act and the Environmental Information Regulations gives the public the right to access information held by public authorities, including research data in certain cases. Intellectual property rights, IPR in data and databases. IPR cover the legal ownership of data and databases. Researchers, institutions, or funders may hold rights over the research data they create, and this right must be acknowledged and respected when sharing or reusing the data. The next legal aspect is data sharing, licensing, and reuse. Legal considerations regarding data sharing involved ensuring that data is shared under appropriate terms and conditions. Licensing agreements may be specify how data can be reused, modified, or redistributed. Next is legal consideration of cloud service provision. When using cloud services for data storage and processing, researchers must ensure that the cloud provider complies with the relevant data protection laws and offers adequate security measures. Different jurisdictions may have varying laws regarding where and how data is stored, which can impact cloud service providers. Dear learners, let us conclude today. The effective research data management is essential in modern research, ensuring structured data handling that promotes accessibility, transparency, and long term usability. The implementation of data management plan is pivotal for achieving these objectives, promoting a clear blueprint for handling data ethically, efficiently, and compliance with legal standards. Ethical and legal considerations further reinforce the responsibilities of researchers to safeguard personal information, respect intellectual property rights, and maintain data privacy, particularly in the age of digital and cloud based data storage. So, in short, we can say that research data management not only enhances the quality and the impact of research by enabling data sharing and reuse, but also contributes to a culture of accountability and innovation in the scientific community. As researchers embrace RDM practices, they pave the way for more collaborative, transparent, and impactful research that benefit the society as a whole. So, dear learners, this is for today, and we will be back with the next part of research data management system. Thank you very much for your patience listening.